Hey, Kathryn here. I want to talk about the properties of algebra for just a minute and explain to you how I remember them. The first one is the commutative property. That says if A, B, and C represent real numbers, then the equations, when we multiply A times B, is exactly B times A. For addition, A plus B is the same as B plus C, and they're all equivalent equations. How do I think about that? Well, it's like if I called a friend, or the friend called me. We're still having the same conversation. It's still between me and my friend. How does that work in math? Well, for multiplication, 3 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 3. For addition, 2 plus 1 is the same thing as 1 plus 2. Let's look at the associative property. If A, B, and C represent real numbers, then the equations, first, notice that I have ABC on one side of the equal sign and ABC on the other side. I haven't changed the order. For multiplication, I have AB in parentheses and C outside equals A and then BC in the parentheses, and I'm multiplying those. For addition, it's exactly the same way, but we're adding. Here's how I think about it. It's like when you go on a date and you have the third wheel, right? So A times B in parentheses times C, the third person. What if he was kissing the other girl? Well, then it would be A, the girl's by herself, times parentheses B times C. Now in my memory, whenever our oldest girl wanted to go to the movie with her boyfriend, we would always send our youngest girl with her. Why? Well, we know the oldest girl wouldn't do anything silly because the youngest girl would always tell us what happened. Let's look at the examples. Multiplication. For instance, 3 times 5 in parentheses is 15, times 2 is 30. If I took 5 times 2, which is in parentheses first, that's 10, times 3 is 30. They're still the same. For addition, in parentheses 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 6 is 12. On the other side of the equal sign, 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 2 is 12. What about the distributive property? That says if A, B, and C represent real numbers, then the equations A times parentheses B plus C is the same thing as if I distributed or multiplied A into the parentheses. That would be A times B plus A times C. It's the same if I have A times parentheses B minus C. Then I would just have A times B minus A times C. And those are equivalent equations. How do I remember it? Well, I love to bake. And if I'm making cupcakes, I have to spread the cake batter into each of these little cupcake holders. That's like the distributive property. I'm distributing the cake batter into each cupcake. Let me show you how that works. First, let's look at the addition. If I have 2 times x plus 3 in parentheses, that's the same as saying 2 times x plus 2 times 3. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 3 is 6. For subtraction, it's exactly the same. Let's say I have 5 in parentheses z minus 4. That's the same thing as saying 5 times z minus 5 times 4. 5 times z is 5z, and then 5 times 4 is 20, but we're subtracting, so we have 5z minus 20. We have 2 more properties to look at. The identity property. If A, B, and C represent real numbers, then the equations, if I multiply, A times 1 is A, and if I add, A plus 0 is itself A, and they're equivalent equations. How do I think about it? Well, I think about looking at myself in the mirror. I see myself, my identity. An example for multiplication would be 5 times 1 is 5. For addition, well, we could say 2 plus 0 is 2. Then we have the inverse property. If A, B, and C represent real numbers, then the equations for multiplication, A times 1 over A equals 1. Or we could say A times its reciprocal of A equals 1. Then for addition, a plus the opposite of a is 0, or a plus negative a equals 0. And those are considered equivalent equations. Now, I don't have a really great way to memorize these, so let me show you some examples. For multiplication, we could take 3 times the reciprocal of 3. That's 1/3, and we get 1. For addition, I could take 2 plus the opposite of 2, or negative 2, and that's 0. I hope this is going to help you memorize the properties of algebra.